So welcome to Tutorials in Game Development. I'm Andy Shen. I'm going to be teaching it. Today we're just going to be doing some basic setup, and then further videos we'll be getting on more into like doing health systems, stuff like that. So let's go find where you can get your first starter kit for getting started with the Game Maker. So the first thing you want to do at this point is you want to go to our website. It's vikingsdev.github.io, and essentially this is where you can find all of our important stuff. So we have sign up if you just came into our club. We have our resources. That's where we'll be going next. We have sign up for Discord. We have all our Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, everything here. So this is a really useful website. If you guys have time, go check it out. But we'll be going on to our resources tab up here. So if you scroll to the top, resources. And since we're doing game design, we're going to download our game design starter kit. So this leads to our repository. So this is essentially using GitHub. And from here, for now, all you want to do is just clone or download this. We can just download the zip for now. And then GitHub is really useful for actually storing your stuff online and being able to, like, push and pull. But for now, we can just use a USB. So we just download the zip file. All right, we can open the zip file up. We'll have the folder here. We can just drag that onto our desktop. Copies over. And then inside here, starterkit.gmx, is where we have our starterkit.project. So now we're going to open up GameMaker, and we're going to take a look at how to actually access your file. So if you did what I did and you dragged and dropped it over to your desktop, so you just hit yes, hit OK for everything, and you hit open, you hit the three dots here, and we can go straight to desktop, GameMaker StarterKit Master, and in here you can open it straight up. So I'm just going to open the starterkit.gmx here. So now once you open it, you should be greeted by this sort of screen. You'll have the latest news. You'll have a bunch of stuff on the side here. This is all of your assets for the game. So this is the starter kit that I prepared. So the starter kit we have currently, it's a top-down or a platformer 2D game. So we have our player sprite. It's nothing fancy. It's just a square with an arrow to show which direction you're moving. So you can animate later. We have a wall sprite, which is just green for like if you want to do grass tiles. Usually I would do black, but you can do whatever color you want. So black. And your enemy, which is a red square. That's all it is. They're all the same size, 32 by 32. Then you have your get input script. So this is essentially the script that you use to get all your inputs. Like it says, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'll be going in depth how this actually works later, but for now, just know that that exists, and it's just in a script in the scripts here. Finally, we have our objects. So these are what actually go inside the room. So we have our object platformer here. This has all the movement code already set up for you, and essentially, if I hit run, it should be able to run a version of the game where a player is already in there and can already move. So to load up, it'll show the Made with GameMaker Studio, and then now you can see I actually have a player that's already all set up and can already move. I think the speed is a little bit faster than this one. It might be a bit different for other people's, but you can see we already have a player that can move, has some very basic physics. So at this point, I want you guys to pick a type of game you want to make. So as you can see, we have the platformer game. So if I switch over to the top down, you can see now I have a player that can move sort of like this. So it's more of like I guess if you want to do a maze game or something like that, this is a top-down game. So a top-down game is a lot easier in that it doesn't have a lot of physics. You can do a lot more with it. There's a lot more like you can explore with it. These are two different types of games that we're going to be working with. You can pick one out of the two. All right, and then once you're done picking a type of game, we can just take. So I'm going to be doing the top-down game because that just allows me to do more with the sprites later on. So I'm just going to take our platformer, hit the right-click, delete it. And same with the platformer up here. I'm just going to delete it. Now, depending on which one you picked, you want to delete the one that's corresponding to it. So if you're doing a platformer game, you want to delete the two top-down objects, so the room top-down and the object top-down. Everything is cleaned up now. We only have one object, object top-down, and we're going to rename this to object underscore player because it's SPR player instead of object top-down. So once you've renamed it, just hit OK. And then that'll just save it. Open your room top down, and now this is where the fun stuff begins. So you guys can go and start designing some levels. And what we have is we have a bunch of different tabs up here. For now, all we need to do is go into the Objects tab. So we have, all of this stuff. Objects tab, we hit our object player. That's this player in here right now. What we can do is we can add some walls and start designing levels. So for example, I can make like a sort of maze just by like drawing out some stuff, and you guys can feel free to experiment with different types of shapes, different types of things like that, different types of levels. So now if we run now, you can see that the actual level itself, which is this room, will look a little bit different than normal. So now you can see my player has a bit more of a fun place to run around in. Usually for top-down games, they're like houses and stuff or buildings, so you can actually flesh out like a city, and then that way, people have more of an environment to interact with, I think.